Are you ready to take your Mirage 2000 skills to the next level? Have you ever dreamed of piloting a Mirage 2000 fighter jet? Well, today is your lucky day, because we're going to teach you how to take off and land like a pro. Buckle up and get ready for an exciting ride. Hello and welcome to the Mirage 2000 takeoff and landing tutorial. In this video, we'll cover everything you need to know to successfully take off and land in a Mirage 2000 fighter jet. From pre-flight checks to touchdown, we will guide you through each step of the process, whether you are a seasoned pilot or a beginner. This tutorial is perfect for anyone who wants to learn how to fly a Mirage 2000 like a pro. Alright, welcome to the Mirage 2000 cockpit. If you haven't seen my startup tutorial, please click up here on the top right or in the description below. So let's get started. I've got the checklist up here, and this is the way that I would do it. So, warning system's on for the audio. Come over to the left, turn on the nose wheel steering. You get the little blue light that lets you know the nose wheel steering's on, and we'll turn on the taxi light. Next, we'll turn off the parking brake. Do a quick brake check. And do a check of the nose wheel steering to make sure that's working. Looks good to me. Next, we'll turn on the radio altimeter and the radar altitude mode. If you move this switch all the way down, you can actually set a minimum altitude value if you want. That's usually used for landing. So we'll just put 1000 and turn it back to radar altimeter. So now we'll taxi out to the runway and I'll meet you over there. As we approach the end of the runway, let's go ahead and hold short. Alright, doing the takeoff checklist. Canopy is down and locked. Cabin warning light off. Caution warning lights panel all off. Landing lights to the landing position. Alright, let's go ahead and line up with the runway. It's clear left and clear right. Alright, so next is the takeoff parameters. Check your speeds. And right now we're in a standard air-to-air, so our rotation speed is going to be 125 knots. So what we're going to do here is line up the runway, turn off the nose wheel steering, go to max afterburner, make sure we check the light that it's on, and we're looking for 80 knots to make sure we have positive trend and airspeed. At 125 knots, I'm going to start pulling back on the stick, and we're going to place the horizon on the rotation pitch marker in the HUD, and we'll try to describe that for you. Alright, so nose wheel steering's off, we're lined up, we're cleared for takeoff. Thank you, ATC system. Afterburners engaged, you can see by the light. Maintain center line, 80 knots, positive trend, looking for 125, there it is, pulling back on the stick. Make sure the pitch marker in the HUD is on the horizon line. If you come back too strong on the stick, you might have a tail strike, and we'll try to show you that here in just a second. So before 260 knots, landing gear up, and we're going to be in afterburner until 300 knots, so at 300 knots we'll come out of afterburner, and this is standard SOP. And there's 300 knots. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looked like in slow motion. So 125 knots, I started pulling back on the stick, and I'm trying to place the rotation pitch marker on the horizon in the HUD. So let's take a look at what it looks like from the outside. This would be the incorrect procedure. Do not do this. Alright, so let's talk about landing. So when we come back to land, we need to be below 230 knots before we put down the landing gear. So we'll go ahead and do that now. There's 230 knots. Landing gear is coming down. And landing in the Mirage 2000 is extremely easy. So let's click on the approach mode on the PCA now. And this is going to give us our required symbology on the HUD. So the next thing we need to talk about is the seat height. Make sure you have this key bound so that you can raise and lower the seat at your discretion. I definitely recommend raising the seat so you can see the approach mode HUD angle of attack brackets and the chevrons so we can get the correct AOA for landing. So just refining my seat height here, and we're trying to trim the aircraft to 14 degrees AOA. There's an AOA indicator here just to the left of the HUD. I don't use that, I use the HUD symbology for the approach mode. Now a lot of people ask if I use trim in the Mirage 2000, and I really don't use trim too much, especially on the landing. The only time I do that is if I have an asymmetric loadout. So right now we're just putting the flight path marker on the beginning of the runway, and we have the acceleration chevrons inside the AOA brackets. The AOA brackets indicate 14 degrees AOA, and that's where we want the acceleration chevrons. Now you can see I'm not really doing many power adjustments, so I'm not really rocking the throttle back and forth. If I need any adjustments with the acceleration chevrons in the AOA brackets, it's with slight throttle corrections. As you can see here on the bottom right, it does say we're at 80% power. And if I need any extra power, I just go up about 1% or 2. Just verifying everything, make sure the landing gear is down. Still looking at the HUD, always cross-checking everything. So we got the throttle inputs, we have the altitude, we have the speed, and making sure we're on AOA. Flight path marker is at the beginning of the runway. Here we are just looking at the speed. As you can see, I'm not moving the throttle pretty much at all right here. Now, if you're in really gusty conditions, that would be a different story. But here we are on a nice, calm day here in the desert. You can see the acceleration chevrons are reaching the bottom of the AOA brackets right now. So I just add a touch of power. And when I say a touch, I mean just 1 or 2% of power to keep those chevrons in the AOA brackets. Flight path markers at the beginning of the runway. Looking at my touchdown zone. Now when we go into the flare, I always keep the power in until I'm settled right above the runway, and then I bring the power to idle. And that's just because we have such a big delta wing that creates a lot of drag, and we don't want to lose a lot of airspeed in the flare. So still chevrons are in the AOA bracket, looking good. 100 feet above the ground. And here we go, about 50 feet, starting a gentle flare, really gentle. Holding it off, power comes to idle. Ooh, nice. There we go, that was a nice touchdown there. Keep the inverted T under the horizon line so we don't have a tail strike. We're doing an aero braking procedure right now. At 110 knots, we'll press the autopilot standby mode. And this is to reset the trim. About 100 knots, we'll let the nose wheel start coming down. And we let it come down nice and gently. Don't want to slam the nose down on the ground. Now, if you need extra braking, you can deploy the speed brakes, or you can use the drag chute with this little knob right here. If you made it this far in the video, congratulations. You have completed our Mirage 2000 takeoff and landing tutorial. I hope you've learned a lot and you're ready to take your skills to the next level. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep practicing, and soon, you'll be flying like a pro.